The light above me is soft, but I still feel it warming the side of my face. My palm is cold, a little damp. I can hear my own heartbeat, not because I'm nervous, but because the room is finally quiet enough for it. That's rare these days. Silence. Stillness. You can tell a lot from the quiet. Who you've been avoiding, what you've been postponing, what truth you've been circling around like a cat around a glass of water. Not ready to drink, but too thirsty to walk away. Hi, it's me, Seokjin. But if you're here, you probably already knew that. And this is not a press release. This isn't rehearsed. It's not for a campaign or a performance. I'm not performing right now. I'm just here with you. And I want to talk about something I've been holding in. Something I've been wanting to share for a while, but didn't know how, or when, or even why I should. But lately, especially in the in-between moments, the quiet ones, I've realized that holding it in isn't strength, it's delay. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is let go. I'll tell you what I've let go of in a few minutes, I promise. But before that, let me take you back a little. There was a day not long ago, although time feels different now, when I stood in front of a rack of jackets, all perfectly hung, all stitched with names that mean something in the world I live in, names that open doors, names that weigh on your shoulders once you wear them. And there was this one jacket, simple, black, tailored but relaxed. It didn't scream anything, it didn't fight for attention, it was just right. And on the tag, Gucci. I've heard people say, he chose Gucci for the image, for the luxury, for the brand. Maybe. But that's not the whole story. Not the real reason, not the surprising one. I chose Gucci because for the first time in a long time, something fit me. Not the version of me the world expected. And in that dressing room for those few minutes, I wasn't a product. I was a person trying to breathe in his own skin. See, there's a strange thing that happens when your job is also your identity. You begin to blur the line between what you do and who you are. And over time, that line disappears. You become the stage, the lens, the smile. You forget how to walk into a room without thinking, what do they need from me today? Instead of, what do I need? And somewhere in all that noise, I stopped asking myself what felt right for me until I put on that jacket, that Gucci jacket. And that's where the open loop I mentioned comes back in. That moment, trying on that jacket wasn't just about fashion, it was about permission to feel, to step back, to breathe without apologizing. So here's what I've let go of. The need to control everything. The need to be the center of every shot. The weight of being the answer to every question. I've always loved working hard, building, perfecting, polishing. But I've come to learn that there's a cost to always being on. That cost is you, your relationships, your ability to hear your own thoughts. And I didn't want to pay that price anymore. You ever hear two voices in your head at the same time? One saying, you can't stop now, they need you. And the other whispering, you're burning out, they love you, but you're not a machine. That's the conflict I lived in for a while. The part of me that was trained to endure, disciplined, sharp, always delivering, wanted to keep marching. But the part of me that was softer, that missed long walks without destination, that missed talking without a script, that part started speaking louder. And it wasn't a fight, it was a negotiation. Between the Seokjin that helped build something incredible with his brothers, and the Seokjin who just wanted to sit in the studio alone for an hour and watch the sunrise without feeling guilty. I remember that morning vividly. The studio lights were off. Just a sliver of light slipping through the blinds. My fingers rested on a page of lyrics, unfinished, folded at the corner. I hadn't touched it in weeks. I was just sitting, breathing, letting the moment be enough. And in that stillness, I realized I don't have to be everything to everyone. I just have to be honest, present. And sometimes that means letting go of the spotlight, not out of fear, but out of love for the craft, for the people, for myself. We don't talk enough about that, do we? About how trust is an act of love, about how stepping back isn't quitting, it's redefining your rhythm. It's saying, I believe in this so much, I want it to outlive me, even if I'm not the one holding every piece. So I started trusting my team more, giving them space to shape things, to carry what I used to carry alone. And in doing that, I discovered something unexpected. It felt good, like really good. Like that moment when you finally exhale after holding your breath for too long. And here's the twist. Saying goodbye to control wasn't a farewell. It was an invitation. A hello to a version of me that had been waiting on the other side of all the noise. That's the part I wanted to share with you today. Letting go of control allowed me to feel more human, more honest. And choosing Gucci, that wasn't about status. It was about alignment, quiet confidence. It was about choosing something that didn't demand attention, but earned it through truth and texture. Just like I want my presence to feel less like a performance, more like a conversation. The consequences of that choice, they ripple. They change how I work, how I listen, how I show up for others. I'm not trying to be everything anymore. I just want to be something real. For myself, for you. And that shift, it's not loud. It doesn't need to be. It's like that soft click when a door finally closes behind you and you realize you're walking into a different kind of room, one where you're allowed to just be. I'm not saying I have it all figured out. Far from it. Some mornings I still wake up and reach for old habits, checking, planning, overthinking. But more often now, I pause, I listen. I let the moment tell me what it needs instead of trying to shape it with old tools. And in that pause, I found peace. It's a strange kind of peace, too. The kind that doesn't need to be loud or explained, like the hush before the curtain rises, or the quiet after laughter in a room of people who love each other. That's what I'm learning to live for. So no, this isn't the end. It's the end of a certain way, of always being first, or loudest, or most polished. I'm not walking away from dreams. I'm just walking toward them differently now. And maybe that's the real reason I chose Gucci, because it let me walk, not run, not sprint, just walk with dignity, with presence, and with enough softness to feel the world again. If you've ever been afraid to say goodbye to something that no longer fits, whether it's a routine, a role, a story you've told yourself, I hope you know goodbye doesn't mean gone. Sometimes it just means hello to something more true. So let me ask you this, just one small question to end this with. What goodbye are you ready to whisper so that a deeper hello can finally walk in? Just 3 words. I'll be here, listening. Chat GPT, bilang. There's something both terrifying and beautiful about not being at the center of everything. You grow up thinking that attention is the proof of your presence, that if people are looking, you exist more. If they stop looking, you fade. But that's a lie, isn't it? It took me a long time to unlearn that. When I began stepping back, really stepping back, I expected to feel panic, emptiness. But what I actually felt was relief. It was subtle at first, like loosening a knot that had lived in my chest for years. Not all at once, just thread by thread. There's a fear that if you're not the one doing it all, it won't get done right, that the dream will slip through the cracks. But dreams, they aren't glass, they're seeds. They grow in soil you trust. And for the first time in a long time, I trusted my team, my collaborators, my instincts. You know what surprised me most? The world didn't fall apart. In fact, it grew. There was space for others to shine. There was silence for new melodies. And in that silence, I started to hear a softer voice, my own. Not the one trained for press conferences or stadiums. The other one, the one that remembers what it's like to laugh before the cameras roll, to fail quietly, to breathe without counting the seconds. Choosing Gucci in that light, wasn't just about wearing something beautiful. It was about becoming someone more balanced. Someone who could say, I don't need to prove anything today. Someone who could walk into a room and not fill every corner with noise, but offer presence, quiet but grounded. There's a kind of elegance in that, and Gucci for me carries that energy. Not just a label, but a kind of softness wrapped in strength. Not a mask, but an invitation. I think we forget sometimes that luxury isn't about price, it's about pace. The luxury of walking slowly, of saying no, of saying, I trust you and meaning it. That's what I'm learning. And it hasn't always been easy. There are days I still wonder, am I disappearing? Am I still needed? But I've come to realize being needed isn't the same as being loved. And love shows up when you're not performing. It stays when the applause ends. It walks with you in the quiet hallway between rehearsals, or waits in the text message that says nothing except, are you okay? Those are the hellos I've been finding in my goodbyes. Goodbye to the version of me that never rested. Goodbye to the belief that I had to be everything, everywhere. Goodbye to the guilt of choosing peace over perfection. And hello to the mornings that start slow. Hello to creative sessions that aren't tied to deadlines. Hello to working with people I trust who don't need me to be anyone but me. I want to show up differently now. Not less present, just more whole. Not always on stage, but always sincere. Not always loud, but always listening. And I hope that shift invites something in you, too. A breath, a pause, a question you've been afraid to ask because you thought the world needed you too much to change. Maybe it does need you, but not the version that's burned out, overextended, worn thin. It needs the version that knows their own worth doesn't depend on always being available. I'm still learning, still stumbling, still waking up to the sound of old habits knocking, but I'm not answering every time now. Sometimes I just let them knock. I listen instead to the birds outside, or the sound of my own breath in a quiet room. And maybe that's enough. So what now? Now I keep walking, not running, not rushing, just walking, one step at a time, toward a life that feels more like me, toward projects that reflect who I am now, not just who I used to be, toward connection that isn't performative, but present, honest, earned. If you made it this far with me, thank you. Really, you didn't have to, but you stayed. That means more than you know. And if there's a goodbye, you've been afraid to say something you've been clinging to because letting go feels like failure, maybe today is a good day to say it. Not out loud, not for anyone else, just for yourself. Just 3 words. You know what they are. Say them whenever you're ready. I'll be here, quietly, waiting for your hello.